Today's episode is the pilot episode, the first episode, the episode 1, but not the Star Wars version because that was horrible. This is going to be hopefully a little bit better. Stick around, check us out, coming right up. Welcome Fantasy Slacker Squad. You're probably wondering, who are you and why are you talking to me? Guess what? We're just a bunch of normal dudes that love fantasy football. You know, we love what we're doing. None of us have an NFL pedigree. We're not NFL players or former players, or we didn't even have a rushing title back in the old days. No, we're just a bunch of guys that love fantasy football. We're kind of nerds about it, actually. We've been doing this for a little while. I myself have been doing it since about 9 years old, checking stats and leaving my lineup on an answering machine. Yeah, I did that. But I drafted with my dad. It was kind of fun, so I kind of stuck with it. Just kind of wanted to share it with everyone. We do the research, you know, like our tagline says, you slack, we work, and then you win. That's kind of what we do. We're happy to have you on board. That moves on to our first segment, and what we like to call Get the Biscuit. Probably wondering, get the biscuit. That's kind of weird. I know it sounds weird, but it's really not weird. I promise. Where I come from a big family, we love biscuits. Especially some of you are like shouting. My favorite right now is Popeye's biscuits, man. Those are so good. And almost every meal, whether it's breakfast or dinner, my mom or grandmother made biscuits. At the end of the meal, no matter what meal it is, no matter what time it is, there was always one biscuit left. Always one biscuit. I think she did it on purpose, probably because we were jerks. Yes, she probably did it on purpose. There was always that one biscuit left. So that person, whoever got the biscuit, was the person that did best that day, I guess. It would be like the person that, you know, got the best score on a test, or the one that did the most work outside, or mowed the yard without asking. That person got that extra biscuit. And I know what you're thinking, well, the games really haven't started yet. Well, that's true. Since this is the week 1 pilot, we wanted to give the person the biscuit from the Thursday night game against the Falcons and Eagles. It was a really good game, mostly defensive, but there are a couple players that shined out there, especially on a fantasy standpoint. The person that gets that biscuit this week would be Ajayi. And I know you're thinking, but Julio, yes. But man, you've got to win. If you have the highest fantasy relevance and have the most points, but your team did not win, that really didn't help you. So you've got to win to get that extra biscuit. Ajayi put a show for the fantasy people that picked him up, scoring 2 touchdowns, 60-something yards. They gave him the goal line work. He put in the work, so he gets that extra biscuit.
Goes Ertz, first and goal at the 6. Reaches out into the end zone. And the first touchdown of the 2018 season gives the Eagles their first lead of the night. Second down and 7. Takes the clock all the way down. Hands the ball off. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Ajayi. Trying to make it a 6-point game instead of 5. Ajayi again. And he does just that, loses the ball, but after he crosses the goal line. So the conversion is good, and Philadelphia leads 18.
Julio was amazing last night, and it kind of gave us a glimpse of what he could do in the future. If there's not an extra biscuit to go around because that biscuit was giving to whoever was the best that week, there was always a little bit of extra gravy left, right? To put on your beans, green beans, or peas that you didn't like. Man, that gravy helped it go down. But that person that get the extra gravy had to be Julio Jones, right? He caught 10 balls for 169 yards on 15 targets. Him and Matt were connected throughout the whole thing, and it came down to the last play. He caught the ball but was outside, came so close to getting that biscuit. He'll have to settle for that extra gravy, which is not too bad, not too bad. So in some fantasy standpoints, you know, he scored more, you know, especially with PPR, than Ajayi did.
So they've had a fullback in on the first plays tonight. Little end around here. They give it to Jones. Can he get around the corner? He does. Has a first down and a few yards more. And Atlanta able to move the sticks on the opening drive.
Cloud's going to come up and right in the face. He didn't even get in it within a foot of Julio Jones.
That moves us on to our second segment. Again, living out in the country, we had a lot of room to play. We were out in the field all day, and our mother had to call us in, for dinner or lunch or whatnot. Back in the day, and my day, so I guess that means I'm back in the day too. But anyways, back in the day, she had to call us in somehow. So usually there was a big old bell that she rang, bing, bing, bing.
Come and get it! Come and get it! Dinner!
To call us all in. I know some people use it to call cows home, but, we're not saying that you are cows or the players are cows or anything like that. We're just saying that come on in, it's feeding time, right? And those are the people that we want to put in our lineup. And I'm not talking about your elite players, your plug-and-play starters such as Gurley, Antonio Brown, Brady, Rodgers, Kelsey, those type of players. We're talking about players that are in the middle round, could be RB2s, RB3s, wide receiver 2, 3 players, flex players that we think that are going to do well this week based upon matchups. And the person that I want to line up has to be James Conner.
The Steelers came up with a 64-yard touchdown on the return by Trey Williams. Here's James Conner now. Conner gets across the 40 to the 43-yard line. That'll be his best gain of the night. Hitting Atlanta many times here. The Falcons, their first drive of the day was a good one by Matt Ryan. James Conner now. Conner with an open territory, makes a cutback over the 30 down to the 27-yard line. James Conner.
I know there's been so much publicity on Lev Bell that is just, but it's all reality, right? The offensive line called him out, and I don't want to get into all this, but offensive line looked a little miffed, and they have a little extra juice in their step to prove that they are a really good offensive line, which helps James Conner, right? And as fantasy owners, that helps us too. If he's still on your waiver wire, whether you're on NFL, ESPN, CBS, or whatever platform you're using, if he's on your waiver wire and you can pick him up, man, grab him, plug him in. He's bound to score a few. They're going to give him the rock against a suspect Cleveland defense. We don't know who or what they're going to be. All we have is from last year, and so from last year they weren't very good. Add in all the factors that James Conner looked pretty good this preseason. He showed really good flashes. He's healthy. Also, the fact that the offensive line called out to prove that they're a good offensive line to open up holes for James Conner. And also for the fact that Cleveland defense, we don't know much about it and how well they click together. Like, especially what the Steelers do, they love to run the ball. They're going to run the rock, and they're going to give it to James Conner. So if you have space, he's going to be your low RB2, high RB3, good flex starter for this week. If you have him, if you picked him up or going to pick him up, plug him in, take a chance on him this week, because it could be the only week that he plays, because Lev Bell could come back, play for next week, but at least you'll have him for this week. On the flip side, when you live out in the country like I did growing up, especially at night, you had to take out the trash. You can always expect some kind of little critter to be in there, whether it's field mouse, or possum, or raccoon, or coyote, hopefully nothing bigger. They're always out there, and you had to get them away. I know there's alternative means of getting rid of them, but for this instance, usually my dad or my grandmother or my mother would always get that phrase, "get out of here," and that kind of rustic redneck voice, you can't even tell what they said, but it usually did the trick. Those are the people that we're going to not want on our lineup this week, just based upon matchup or circumstances. And that person that is going to be get on out of our lineup this week has to be Amari Cooper.
And I said, get away from here. Get.
Donald just signed a huge contract. They've also got Ndamukong Suh. Rams defense looks stout this year. They even tried to get, Khalil Mack on their team. That would have been nuts. But their team looks so stout this year. You've got Aqib Talib and you've got Peters on the other side, who are two ball-hawking type corners. They're going to shut them down. They're going to shut the whole offense down. In fact, I don't like any of the Oakland Raiders this week. It's going to be hard for them to move the ball back and forth against a stout LA Rams defense. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, with the departure of Mack, the offense is going to have to play catch up. which is true. But again, look at the Rams defense, right? They're not going to just allow them to do it easily. Based upon his matchup, I have to warn you not to put him in your lineup. There are also other guys that you can put in your lineup, people like Emmanuel Sanders. He's got a good report with Case Keenum. They've got a favorable matchup. We don't know, again, the corners. We don't know how well Seattle's going to do. And then you've also got players like Jarvis Landry, who's going to get his touches, right? Especially you PPR guys. You've got other options other than Amari Cooper. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be putting out weekly videos throughout the entire NFL season through the Super Bowl and hopefully for years to come, So please hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell icon. It'll let you know when new videos come up so that way you can stay in touch each and every week. So I want to move us on to our next segment, crazy projections. I know all of the big guys like to give out crazy projections, and it's just fun, man. It's just fun. These are guys that, we take flyers on or type of thing, and it just is fun, right? So the guy that I want to give out this week has to be Royce Freeman. I've been on the Royce Freeman bandwagon since day one. Selected him in my rookie draft, the league that I'm in. I grabbed him up hoping that he'll be the guy. He showed flashes during the preseason, and he was named starter this week, so it's a good step for me. But I wanted him to push even further. I want that week one to be like a showcase of, hey dude, I'm the next Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook before his knee went out, that type of guy. So, my crazy projection this week is Royce Freeman, total of 125 and 3 touchdowns. Please do that, man. I've got you in my lineup. I've got you. Please. All right, let's get the last segment that we want to talk about, and that's also give you the projections of the big guys. We told you up front that, we're going to do research, and we want to make it kind of like a one-stop shop for all places. We're going to give you the top projections of each of the bigs, ESPN, NFL, CBS, we may slide in a couple of footballers or any other projections in there, and then we'll, of course, give our own. So we want to hit you up, let you know. But before we go into the projections for each position, we're going to do top 10. We wanted to say thank you, and we want to have this conversation with you. So if you have crazy projections, if you have sleepers or busts that you want us to know, if you think there's somebody else that should get the biscuit, extra gravy, or should get on out of your lineup, and hit us up in the comments below. We're on a journey with you. We'd love to chat with you. Look forward to seeing you next week.